Hey everyone, back at the Best Wines Online tasting room. We are very fortunate to have none other than Piero Incisa from Tenuta Sanguido, which, you know, this is Tenuta Sanguido. This is the winery. Now, you know, you don't see Tenuta Sanguido in big letters anywhere on these bottles. What we do see is Sassicaia and Guidalberto, which may be much more familiar to you than the term Tenuta Sanguido. Now, your grandfather, I was doing some research, even in the 1920s, he was thinking about this, wasn't he?
But he grew up in Piedmont, between Piedmont and Lazio, and Rome, and he grew up drinking primarily wines from Piedmont, which they have a lot of finesse, and also a lot of French wines. So he always wanted to make wine, and it's only in the mid-40s that he started to experiment in order for him to do a wine to drink at home. I think that probably, you know, at the turn of the century in Italy, the wines were a lot more rustic. They didn't travel as well.
Yeah.
Our farming practices were not what they are today. And I think when you develop a palate for finer wines, maybe in those days he found Sangiovese a bit too rustic for his palate. And he also was a great lover of cuisine and a chef. So he wanted a wine that would have paired well with the kind of food that he was used to eating.
Was it luck at the time that said, you know, okay, Cabernet Sauvignon, granted, because you like the Bordeaux wines, etc. Now, where he put the grapes? Was there research done about where he planted this particular vineyard?
Absolutely. He was a bit of a mad genius and charming, very well read, studious, extremely intelligent. He had a vision, and he had the privilege to have the financial, personal situation that was conducive for him to do this kind of experiments. The first vineyard was planted on the upper part of the estate, which is the part of the estate where we have a lot of woods. In a hill slightly behind, it's called Castiglioncello, and that was the first experimental vineyard of Sassicaia. And it was much sheltered from the winds. They're coming from the Mediterranean. Tenuta Sanguido, where we are in this area, is shaped a little bit like an amphitheater that goes from the water to the mountains. So it's always good to plant vineyards at mid-level in a way, because you're avoiding frost. There is always a little bit of wind that is going to dry your grapes if it rains. But also the forest provides a microclimate, so colder nights and a little bit of shelter. And also was belief in those days that the salt in the water, so if you're making wine in proximity of the sea, the salt that is in the air might have a negative impact. And so that probably was one of the reasons that the vineyard was planted there. Today there is some vineyards also in the front part of the estate, not just where the historical vineyard is located.
Now, 1942 Cabernet, you know, did your grandma, did you get some funny looks from people?
But, you know, I wasn't alive then, and probably my uncle Nicolas, who's the manager of the estate since my grandfather's passing, can give you some more precise accounts of that. For sure, he was an anti-conformist, a person that thought outside of the box and refused to obey the rules, especially the rules that he didn't think fit the bill, or rules that didn't make any sense for him. I'm more than one skeptic for sure, because Bolgheri was not known for to be a region that was conducive to making red wine, and no one ever thought of planting Cabernet Sauvignon and Cabernet Franc. So a lot of skeptics, including some family members that already were in the wine business on their own.
Now, the first Sassicaia, just for in-house use, was produced in
the mid-40s. And then the wine was, the first commercial release was 1968. Yeah. And it was, the family made 2 bottling. We had a little bit an overcrop, so there was a little bit more wine. And 1 bottling for the family. The second bottling was sold to the general public. It was sold by our cousins, Antinori, which have an incredible you know, marketing and distribution system, and that's how we went to market. It was released as table wine, which is, as you know, it's not an appellation, it's the most basic appellation you can have. And then today Sassicaia has the privilege of having a private appellation, what French people might call a monopole, and it's Bolgheri Sassicaia, and that was given to us in 1994 by the Italian government.
The rest of Bulgaria is still wondering how you pulled that off?
I don't know. I think that first of all, it's something that my uncle Nicolas worked very hard, and I think succeeded in an incredible way.
Well, the greatness of the wine dictated it as well, right?
Yeah, of course, the greatness of the wine, because I hear some people say that even the water from the puddles, the mud puddles in Bolgheri tastes good. But our vineyards are located in different areas than most other producers there, because they are on the upper part of the estate, so there is a different soil composition. They're not on sand, so our soil, they do not heat up and cool down faster, and therefore they benefit of a different microclimate. When my grandfather first started to make wine in Bolgheri, no one else made red wine in Bolgheri, so everyone came way later.
By the way, thank you for making Guidalberto. I don't know if many of you are familiar with Guidalberto. I love this wine to pieces. I think this whole Merlot thing, even though we got the cab thing going on here, right? You know, Sassicaia, Cabernet. I don't know, man. That wine's friggin' delicious.
Yeah, again, this was my uncle Nicolas' baby and creation, in a sense. The thought process was that we felt that people drank Sassicaia a little bit too young.
Too soon, yeah.
Sassicaia has this incredible versatility and is very approachable at a younger age, and it ages extremely well, but it's also very approachable at a younger age. And I think it has this double appeal. It appeals to young palates, people that might like a little bit more fruit, but it appeals also to the collectors that are able to make investment, store, and then drink the wine at a later age or buy it at auctions. Yeah. So I think that's what made the success of Sassicaia. So the thought process was, people are drinking Sassicaia a bit too young. Maybe we could do a different wine in the estate with a Merlot component that is slightly softer, that hopefully people will drink while they wait for Sassicaia to get older. I'm not sure if that really happened, but it's fantastic, because also this gives us the possibility to declassify some Sassicaia grapes at times, and maybe some juice as well at times, and that in turn betters the quality of Sassicaia, but also betters the quality of Guidalberto.
An impressive snapshot, an impressive, exciting new snapshot into this fabulous vineyard. I'm tickled pink. By the way, you know, Sassicaia 2010 ain't too shabby either.
I think there is a lot of finesse. A friend of mine, a sommelier, a German sommelier, Austrian, sorry, Aldo, I apologize, that works at Le Bernardin in New York, visited the estate not so long ago, and he sent me an email. You know, he works in a fish restaurant. Yeah. But he sent me an email and he says that this is the Sassicaia with the most finesse. Yeah. So, you know, the winemaking has never changed its course. My uncle Nicolas sort of followed the footsteps of my grandfather and kept the style, regardless of the trends and the fashions of the moment. If you remember, the 80s was calling for trends with a stronger extraction, more tannic wines, a lot more new oak, more density, more concentration. And in reality, Sassicaia, I think, is the quintessential expression of elegance, because it's so balanced, and the acidity is always so beautifully present, and the tannins are always so integrated. So it's like music to your palate.
Yes, it's never been a beat you over the head wine, but just a wine.
No, some people, it has happened to me in tasting, because I represent my family often, and they say, give me your big, powerful Sassicaia. So right and then I understand that the guy never had Sassicaia, because there is nothing big nor powerful about Sassicaia. It's not It's not a big tannic
No.
Cabernet. On the
No.
other hand, is all about finesse and balance.
Class in the glass. Thank you, Piero.
Thank you for your time. Thank you
Awesome.
very much.
All right, cheers.
Come and visit us.
I plan on it.